I do wonder where Sonny would fit exactly if you were to play Vlahovic and Kane up front together. Obviously, a lot of people will now say, oh, but he'll clearly be Kane's replacement. But that wasn't the plan. The plan is to have them both up front. But with Sonny, it'd be interesting because Sonny, I felt last season, really developed into the forward man, the guy that Kane could drop back and Sonny went into the strike position. And in pre-season, he's been playing that role. I do wonder whether going back to now just being a winger on the left or right, whether that actually limits Sonny slightly. It'd be very interesting to see. It's a lovely problem to almost have too many options and how to fit them in. But and obviously that's what the top teams have. I would also maybe say I've got one foot slightly in the camp of, but he's had chances to win big games with Tottenham, and he maybe in those big games hasn't performed. I would add the caveat that I think in a lot of those big games he's been coming into it with an injury, or his teammates certainly haven't helped him out either, haven't been on the best form. But I would still say you look to those big players, you look to those world-class £200 million players to be the ones that grab the game by the scruff of the neck and they win it for you, or they make a massive impact. And I'd say certainly Kane has done that in some games. I'm not saying that's a blanket statement at all. You know, he's had big matches against Chelsea, Arsenal, games like that. But what I would say, and Man United, teams like that, but I would say just we've seen in finals and we've seen in some semi-finals, just maybe hasn't absolutely hit the mark when the team really needed him to. So while I think he's a fantastic player, and he's probably one of the players that I've most enjoyed watching kind of develop and do what he does in my entire kind of life watching Spurs, yeah, I do think there's that little element to you've had your chances. But I 100% agree that the club have not been as ambitious as his level is, definitely. And I'd maybe say, and I think I've said this before, but I'd actually say that in terms of big game players, I'd maybe go as far to say Sonny's actually more of a big game player than Harry Kane. Might be a controversial opinion, I don't know. But I just kind of feel that in the biggest games, I've really seen Sonny rise to it. You know, we've seen the Champions League quarterfinal against Man City, both legs of that as well, and just various other games where I feel, I wouldn't say he steps up every time. As I say, I think that the team as a whole often maybe have that psychological thing in big games as well. But I just think maybe Son slightly more than Kane. And again, you know, you're comparing two amazing players. I'm really not saying one is incredibly better than the other or anything. I think they both could be right up there. I think Son is going to have a very, very big season. First off was seeing Sonny back. Sonny absolutely is just such a level above so many players. And there's no disservice to other players. It really isn't, because he's that good. And he just raised the game of Tottenham's play so much. You know, a goal, 2 assists. You know, maybe this is one thing that's said about Harry Kane, that sometimes he isn't really turning up in the biggest of games. Whereas I think Sonny on the bulk, the majority of them does. And I think it's a big old signing that for Tottenham. You know, moments where he can, so that he's there for all the big games and stuff. And I think probably Sonny is more, arguably, Spurs' most consistent big game player that they have.